Hi, I'm Eric Schumacher Rasmussen. I'm the editor of Streaming Media Magazine, and I'm here at NAB 2014, thanks to Teradek's NAB live show. And today we're going to be presenting our second annual Streaming Media Best of NAB Awards. And my co-host will be Sean Lamb from Streaming Media Producer. He'll be joining a little later. And we're going to present 5 awards today, 2 on the streaming media side and 3 on the streaming media producer side. And this year we decided that instead of focusing only on products that were announced here at NAB, that we widen the field a little bit, since occasionally, as you may have heard, occasionally something announced at NAB won't actually show up for many months after that. We're looking at new products as well as products that have been out for a little while but are still here at NAB and really are kind of knocking our socks off. And so with that, I'd like to start with our first Best of NAB award. We've got a tight show with 5 guests here today. And our first award goes to Envato. And we have from Envato here with us, Adrian Phillips. Adrian, how you doing?
I'm doing super, Eric. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Great. We selected Envato because they're an end-to-end TV platform. Yep. They're kind of unlike any other platform out there, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. And they've got customers now, including, I believe it's 28 NBC networks.
Yep, all the brands and the local own and owns, and then also the affiliate program, the TV Everywhere program.
Right, and now you've got customers including Hearst, which you announced recently,
Absolutely.
Gray, and some others as well, right?
Gray, Lynn Media, Scripps, Post Broadcast.
Right.
News, go on and on, yeah.
Absolutely, so an impressive customer list. Yeah. What is it that differentiates what Envato does from what some of your competitors do?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, this year we're hearing video workflow. It's kind of the big thing. And so, between 4K and video workflows, it seems like everybody's mentioning they have some type of a solution. And we're seeing that consolidation happening, of course, in the industry with acquisitions. Everybody's trying to say, you know what, how do we take all of these disparate solutions across all these verticals and try to make it work a little bit smoother, a little bit more seamless? And this has been Envato's approach from day one. And so we have an integrated but open end-to-end TV Everywhere software stack that integrates right into the broadcast operations center. So we get the signaling and we get the metadata straight off of the traditional broadcast, and then we can use all that to automate and simplify the over-the-top and TV Everywhere streaming.
Now, one of the things that impressed us when we looked at the product was that it's clearly built with broadcasters in mind.
Yep.
If you look at the user interface, it's a very user-friendly interface, one that's going to be familiar to broadcasters. You really are targeting broadcasters, both large and small, both in the way your product is presented, but also in the way it's priced. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, it's a pay-as-you-grow strategy, and to be honest, we've seen, and I've seen in my career, the amount of capital outlay that typically is required. You're trying to size how much throughput you might have for VOD, how many channels you may have one day. The amount of calculations that go into that are so forward-thinking and often, just a guess. And so by going with a software as a service solution, we're able to, providers, small and large, are able to get going very, very quickly by us giving them everything from the HD SDI signal to the end player. They could literally be up in days in testing. They could be launching channels within weeks. So it's very powerful in that way, and it's priced in such a way that it's only as you use it, then we basically both benefit from that.
Okay. It seems to us like this may be the wave of the future, and that you're kind of out ahead of that wave. Do you think this is the way that the TV Everywhere industry is going?
So our perspective on that is that there is that shift in the industry that's happening where there are so many solutions that have been kludged together. We're trying to recreate the broadcast experience now on our mobile devices, right? Even the first, second, and third screen, but now connected. And so we're trying to replicate that with advertising, closed captions, multi-language, all of those experiences, but now even better experiences. And so that has resulted in putting together and cobbling together all of these different solutions. And so we think, and what we're hearing from our customers is to say, you know what, we want this to work efficiently. We want to make this be more streamlined, we want more flexibility, and that's what we give them with our platform.
Well, very cool, thanks so much and congratulations.
Thank you, Eric, we're very honored, and thanks to Streaming Media and thanks to Teradek for having us out here today.
You bet. Our second Best of NAB award goes to DDV Tech for their Mist Server 2.0. And the Mist Server 2.0, actually the Mist Server 1.0, was introduced last year, and our contributing editor Tim Siglin helped write a sponsored white paper for Streaming Media about the Mist Server, and there were some claims that DDV Tech was making about what Mist Server can do. Essentially, it's a server software that can run on everything from a small Raspberry Pi to the biggest hardware. And Tim Siglin sort of challenged them to back up their claims, and just this week they released some performance numbers that shows that they really can compete with some existing solutions that have been out there a while, such as Wowza and Nginx. So our second award goes to DDV Tech for their Mist Server 2.0. And we have Jeroen Vieter with us.
Well, that's not quite how you pronounce my name.
I knew I'd mess it up. I knew I'd mess it up. Forgive me.
It's Jeroen Vieter.
Jeroen Vieter.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Eric.
You're welcome, and congratulations. What is it about Mist Server that allows you to operate on, as we said, both the smallest Raspberry Pi to the largest big iron?
Well, basically, we started out not just randomly building, but we started out really designing and looking at what does a media server need to do. And then we took that core minimum, basically, of what needs to happen to have a full working media server, and we started building that. And we figured out that if you only have what you need, then it can run both on small devices and the big devices. Mm-hmm. And of course, if you have a device that's 10 times as fast, it will do 10 times as much. Mm-hmm. So that way you can have both the small and the big, and you can run the same software on it.
And as I said, you released some for performance tests this week. What do those tests show about what you can do?
Well, what we really wanted to do when we started building all this is we wanted to have the features of a full media server, you know, like most of the other bigger brands. And we wanted to have the performance of a small web server, because that's what most people that stream a lot tend to end up using, because those get the performance. And we were curious if we were able to make this claim actually happen. Mm-hmm. And well, the performance results show that we were able to, because we provide the features of the big ones, and the performance results show that we are right up there with Nginx in terms of performance.
Okay, and will you continue to test your performance against other servers? Obviously in our industry there's a lot of hype. One of the reasons we give these awards is a way of helping our readers and our viewers get through some of the hype to some of the solutions that they might really want to pay attention to. What are your plans for the future in terms of testing against other solutions that are out there?
Well, we actually started this thing that we call the DDV Tech Research Initiative. Mm-hmm. And we don't just consider this a marketing thing or a one-off thing. We are committed to constantly keep testing things, keep finding what are the parameters that we need to look at for measuring performance. And we will keep testing more servers as well, and not just more things with the servers we're already testing. And I would say that this is a good time to ask anyone out there that also is making media servers to contact us if they think that we can work together on testing this, because we want to be as open and honest as possible and just show the results without any coloring to it.
All right, well, you heard it here first. You've been challenged by DDV Tech to test your servers against theirs, so I'm looking forward to hearing some more of those numbers and comparisons.
Yeah, and I hope we get many responses.
In future months, absolutely. So thanks to our Streaming Media Best of NAB award winners. Up next will be Sean Lamb from Streaming Media Producer, presenting the Streaming Media Producer side of the awards. I'm Eric Schumacher Rasmussen, coming to you live from NAB.
Right now we're going to award 3 Best of NAB awards for streaming media producer type of products there. So the first one up is Bob from Black Magic Design. Now, the product that we're going to be awarding for is the Black Magic production, it's the
studio camera.
It's the studio camera. Now you have 2 versions of that. That's the HD and the 4K version. So
correct.
Here's your
Thank
award
you very much.
there. So when we looked at all of these cameras and products on the show floor, you know, really what we were looking for was a lot of innovation. And when I was talking to Grant Petty, your CEO, one of the things he was telling me was that he was hoping that people would get this camera. And you know, part of that's because it is a studio camera. We were talking about that, you know, this is the camera that you wished was originally brought out 2 years ago.
Well, what I was hoping for is that we would have a studio camera to go with our ATEM switchers, which obviously we have now. Mm-hmm. We also build the other cameras as well, but I think that the studio camera is a perfect fit, and people have been getting it, if you will. So I think that it's been real easy to distinguish what it does. Our set on the booth kind of shows a real live talk show set, so I think people understand completely what it's for, but the features of it, I think, blew people away.
And what is the studio camera?
So the studio camera, the HD version is a Super 16 sensor with it's basically the world's smallest studio camera with the world's largest viewfinder. So it has a 10-inch viewfinder, and you have connectivity for either fiber optic or SDI round trip, so that you can actually control the internal CCU through the ATEM software, so it's really exciting.
That was actually one of the things that really caught my attention, especially as an ATEM user with the video switcher line there, was that ability to, it acts like a camera control unit, it is,
Yep.
to do the color correction there. So what type of controls are available on the ATEM side there? This is for the technical director, the video switcher operator.
Sure, so on our software program, there's a separate tab for camera, and you can actually, when you select each camera, it'll auto switch one of the aux buses so that the person doing the shading can see which camera they're attaching. It also shows which camera's on air, so in case you don't want to touch a camera that's on air already. So this way, the person shading cameras is cognizant of what's going on in the live production.
So one of the beauties of this camera, it can be used as a standalone with a recorder. It doesn't have an internal recorder, but really the beauty of it, it's part of a larger workflow that incorporates a few other Blackmagic design products. Let's talk a little bit about the tally system there and the talkback system.
Sure, so tally and talkback are built into the camera, and the way that information is carried back and forth is either through fiber optic to one of our studio converters, or just straight SDI in and out of the camera, so that all of the return feed from the program feed carries the metadata to do the color correction, and also provides the two-way talkback and also any audio in the XLR jacks back and forth.
Okay. And what kind of distance can we achieve with those types of connectivity?
Well, in fiber optic, you can go several miles. And SDI is the same. Standard SDI length's 150 feet or so.
Excellent. Now the HD version is currently shipping.
Yeah, HD version's on the way, and the 4K version will be later this summer.
All right. Well, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thanks
All right.
for having me.
Now our second award today goes to a company from Switzerland, and it's Edelkrone. And their product is the Slider Plus Pro, and we also awarded for two of their modules there. It's the Target and the Wizard. What caught my attention on this product, when you look at the world of sliders, there's a lot of different products out there, and the innovation that Edelkrone had really was to reduce the length of the slider, and it has a dual action type of motion there. And it's one of those things that I think you really need to see to understand how efficient that is, and just the length reduction. So Kadir, thank you for joining us here, and congratulations on your award. Let me present it to you here. It's the Slider Plus Pro with the Wizard and Target module.
Thank you very much, thanks a lot.
Can you show us the model here? You bought it here, thank you very much for doing that.
All right.
How does that work?
This, at first look, it looks like a regular slider, and when you start sliding the system, not just the camera, but the slider itself starts to move side to side, so that actually doubles the amount of camera travel you get from a compact slider, which changes everything as far as portability and lightweight.
Mm-hmm. What type of cost is just for the slider? Now this is the XL size right now?
We have Slider Plus Lite and Pro versions,
okay.
And each of those versions have 3 different sizes. Here we have Pro version, which carries up to 22 pounds load capacity, and this can give as much as 3 feet of camera travel. Okay. This is not the longest one. We brought here just a slightly shorter one just for the sake of the space, not taking over the whole space. But again, even this, those units on the sides may be confusing, but they are actually optional add-ons you can attach on the system, and they give you pan control, automatic pan control while you're sliding, and also record your slides and repeat them back for you smoothly.
And that's the Wizard that automates that slide back and forth?
Absolutely.
And the Target module is the one that controls the parallax. Now, what is parallax?
Well, when you're sliding, things start to move in the screen, and it increases the sense of depth, and it feels much better to watch a sliding shot. but it's of course impossible to keep one subject in the frame, and that target module makes that possible, and then your subject stays in the same place in the frame, and the environment, background and foreground starts revolving around that subject. So it's a great storytelling tool for video makers.
So essentially, as the slider is moving back and forth in automated fashion, it's actually panning to follow.
Absolutely.
And so one application that, for me, I think is really cool is to be able to, when you're doing interviews, just to have that go back and forth on the interviewee, and potentially that's one camera while you're operating the other. I mean, there's so many applications in that, but yeah.
Product shots, again, all sorts of slider shots. Now you can upgrade it with the target module, and it becomes even more interesting. It's just not the pan itself. You can also set it up differently and use it for flyovers or fly-unders, which are also very exciting shots to have.
So the largest length, the XL of the slider itself, is $999.99. That's right.
That's right.
And then as you go down to the large and the medium,
all the way
it's
down
$100
to $499. Yeah.
Okay. So there's quite a few different options there. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Congratulations on your award.
We're honored. Thank you.
All right. Next up is our final award of the day and of NAB 2014, and it's for Blackmagic. Sorry, it's for Atomos. We did Blackmagic already. It's for the Shogun. Now, when I had a look at the Shogun there, it is a larger screen recorder, and we know Atomos from their recorders from the Ninja up to the Samurai and the Ronin as well. But what makes the Shogun different is that it has that 4K capability. It has a larger screen. It's an IPS screen, so it looks beautiful like the Blade screen, as well as on the Samurai Blade, as well as on the Ninja Blade there. This is it right here. And Jeremy, I wanted to congratulate you and thank you very much for joining us here, but here's your award. And we're getting mic'd up here, so let me just take a look at this module, this recorder here. So this is the recorder here, and on the back you've got the hard drive slots in there. Now you've got your mic on there, so.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, let me give you this award here first, there. Congratulations.
Hey, Sean. Thank you very much.
Now, what can you tell us about this that I haven't already?
All right. Yeah, well, basically you've got all of the wonderful things that we've been able to develop from our customer feedback over the last 3 years. But the big thing here was that we've got full frame 35mm sensor from Sony. We've got a GH4, which is $1,700, does 4K output in 10-bit. I said about 6 months ago that there'd be 20 4K cameras available or at least announced at NAB. I think I was about 4 short.
There's a lot of 4K cameras out there.
There's a lot of 4K cameras coming out. Now that they are available, it's time for us to put a recorder on them.
Yes.
When customers used to ask me, why haven't you done a 4K recorder? And I said, which camera do you want to use? And they'd say, red. And I said, doesn't output 4K.
Yeah.
It's all raw internal to memory cards. So that wasn't really available until now. Not for the mass market, but now it is available. That's why we did it. And I think there's 2 major features. The screen, which I know you like. It's got XLR audio output, HDMI in and out, 12 gig SDI in and out. Now there's not any 12 gig cameras today that we can hook up to, but that just future-proofs you and allows you to connect to those cameras into the future. I think one of the main things that we've done is deliver affordable media for recording. So you can record en masse in great quality to hard disks. We've actually implemented that on this for 4K. Spinning disks, a rated system, clicks in the back, 2 drives, 2 1 terabyte drives, 2.5 hours of 4K ProRes recording for about $120. So you're down around the $50 an hour for full 4K production quality. I think that's a major advantage for the pickup of 4K.
That's right. Now, tell me about that phone call you received back in December. Sony called you up. They were talking about a camera, the Sony A7S, and that's a very exciting development. That camera there, it's a 4K camera, but it doesn't have an internal 4K recorder. No. So tell me about that conversation.
Well, they mentioned that, look, they had this awesome sensor. They want to put in a really small form factor, mirrorless DSLR style, and to complement their A7 and A7R. And they explained to me that it was a video scan sensor that is full 35 millimeter. Now what that means for customers out there is, for example, the 5D Mark III or the traditional DSLRs, they're photography sensors. And to get HD video off an 8K sensor, which is like the D800, there's pixel binning goes on, there's line skipping, because you can't take that full image and output it. It's just too much heat, too much data processing. But there's a compromise in certain situations on those cameras. They're great cameras, they record very nice footage, but the holy grail is a video sensor at the full 4K size that's full video scan, and that's what Sony's delivered. And not only that, the pixel sizes are huge. I mean, if we just compare cameras around the place, Micro Four Thirds size, it's about 4 times smaller than the 35 millimeter.
Yeah.
A Super 35 is a crop factor of 1.6 normally. I think that there's some cameras out there that claim to be Super 35, but they're about 1.9 crop factor.
Okay, 1.5 on some of the Sonys.
On some of the Sonys, exactly. But we're talking 1-to-1 here, and big pixel sizes, which means really nice sensitivity. Like that's what ARRI have. Big pixels. And Sony know that, and they've gone up to an ISO of 400,000. Now 400,000 gets a little bit noisy, but 200,000 in the dark looks like daylight.
And that's a crazy high ISO count. I know some stories about that when those specs were released before the official release. They were leaked out. Some of the sites that kind of leaked these, they actually didn't believe that number, and they thought, oh, that's just too high of a number. It's a typo, or the source just got it wrong completely. And it's astounding how high that is.
Yeah, it is. And when you see it, the creativity that can be given to people who want to tell stories for their customers and for their creative side of their life, I think you could probably think of 10 scenarios where you could insert certain shots into a production that weren't possible unless you could shoot in the dark. And we're talking shooting in the dark here. No lights on, and you can get a very nice image. Now that is light years ahead of any camera out there. And that's why we're sticking to the Japanese cameras. They've got 50 years of experience. They don't have sensor issues. They don't have quality issues. They don't have a lot of the issues that new camera makers are having. The Japanese had 30 years ago and they solved them. And I think you'll see Sony, Panasonic, Nikon and Canon come very hard and strong in the next few years with amazing sensors. And I think that's going to be where Adamus is backing itself.
Excellent. Well, for me, I think following your store over the last 4 years, the rise of your company and all these recorders has been a very exciting and rewarding one as an editor of streaming media producer and as a user of these products myself. So thank you very much for the work you put into these and these great products. They're very innovative. They really bring down the cost of high quality ProRes capture, right? So we're not recording only internally in the camera. We've got these high quality encodes and at a price that we can handle.
Yeah, 1995, and it'll be available later this year around IBC time.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Jeremy. All right, so that's a wrap on the 2014 Best of NAB Awards for Streaming Media Producer and Streaming Media. Thank you very much for joining. My name is Sean Lamb.